Things got heated on the latest episode of Real Time with Bill Maher when Bill confronted CNN's Scott Jennings, one of the more polished voices from the MAGA crowd, about the GOP's double standard when it comes to the Constitution. Let's watch the video and I will share my thoughts at the end. If you're into this kind of content, support this channel, subscribe, and let me know what you think in the comments.
Good Luck America, Peter Hamby, and he's an author and CNN senior political contributor, Scott Jennings. And the first question is for you, Scott. As someone who's considering a Senate run to replace him, what? You're not? Usually when someone puts out a book, it means they're going to run for office. Not always, but that always is.
Isn't writing a book the fastest way to get rich in America right now?
No.
You said it was OnlyFans.
No, you don't get rich writing books. I hate to tell you, bro.
Too late.
Anyway, what do you believe will be Mitch McConnell's legacy? I guess that's who you'd be replacing, right?
Yeah.
When you run for Senate, if you run for Senate.
He's up in 26. Supreme Court, I mean, without question. I mean, he had a long career, 42 years, won 7 elections in Kentucky, but without question, I think his legacy is the court, specifically the Supreme Court. If he doesn't hold that seat open in the 2016 election, I'm not sure if President Trump would have won, and then the cascade of appointments that followed will change the course of this country for generations.
And if people don't remember what you're talking about, in 2015, Scalia died. Was that it? It was, or was it 16? I think.
15. Yeah.
15. Okay. So Obama still had over a year in office, and usually when a president is in office, he gets to choose who the Supreme Court nominee. He wanted Merrick Garland, and Mitch McConnell would not even give him a hearing. That was unprecedented. What is the latest bullshit argument why that's okay?
Well, if the bullshit you're referring to is the advise and consent clause in the U.S. Constitution,
no.
That's the argument.
At the time, the argument was it's too close to an election. It was 2015.
Well, that wasn't the full argument. The full argument was we had divided government, and then the American people were going to make a decision, and they did, and they chose a Republican president.
Well, as I just said in the editorial, if it had been the other way around, you would have went apeshit about it. If somebody had tried, no, you'd have been cool with it.
Well, I lived through the Bush years when the Democrats in the Senate did everything they could possibly do to obstruct George W. Bush from putting judges on the court. So it's not the first time I lived through it.
Not judges. This is Supreme Court. And did Bush get a pick on the Supreme Court?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And they gave him a hearing, and then they voted on it. They could have voted him not. We've seen that. Nixon suggested 2 people who they didn't put on the court. You can do that. But you get to actually have a hearing. This was completely unprecedented and unconstitutional and illegal. And by the way, your hero, Mitch McConnell, when they asked him if he would do it again, he said, sure. You know, I mean, and then they did do it again in reverse. When Amy Coney Barrett was put on the court, it was the exact same thing. It was even closer to an election.
It was literally like 3 weeks, a month before the election.
But we didn't have divided government then. We had unified government.
That's what I'm saying. It's situational for you.
Right, exactly.
No,
it's just
a different situation.
I know. But
why are you guys against the exercising of political power?
That's the exercise of political power is fine. This is unconstitutional. That's what we're against. We're against going outside the law. They wrote it down. It's very clear. Same thing as some of the things Trump is saying now about a 3rd term. It's very clear. It's in the Constitution. Aren't you the guys who carry the little pocket Constitution in your thing?
Yeah.
Don't you have one under your pocket square there?
Yeah, and in it.
And it says 2 terms. It says a president gets to pick who is the guy they're going to put up to the Supreme Court.
And it says the Senate has to confirm them, and it says the Senate gets to advise and consent on this, and that's up to the Senate on how they do that. It's a co-equal branch of government.
Oh, so that is the latest bullshit argument. All right, that was my question. All right, I knew there was one. Okay. What did you make of Donald Trump's post this morning alleging that since I said I hate Taylor Swift, this guy. All the deals, but he still has time for this. You gotta love it. Since I said I hate, she's no longer hot.
You know what stood out in that exchange between Bill Maher and Scott Jennings? It wasn't just the tension. It was the truth that Maher nailed. The GOP, especially the MAGA wing, has this habit of waving the Constitution like a weapon only when it suits them. But the moment it gets in the way of their agenda, suddenly there's some legal tap dance, some convoluted excuse to ignore it, bend it, or outright break it. What's even more alarming is this sense of permanent power they're projecting. It's like they've forgotten that just 4 years ago, Democrats had control of the White House, the House, and the Senate. Total control. And yet, here we are, watching Republicans operate like they've unlocked some cheat code to eternal rule. That kind of overreach isn't just arrogant, it's dangerous. Because when one party starts acting like elections don't matter anymore, or that they're entitled to win every time, that's when democracy starts to rot. It doesn't matter if it's the left or the right. Any party that assumes permanent power becomes a threat to the system they claim to protect. This conversation was a reminder. The Constitution isn't a prop. It's a guardrail. And when either side thinks they're above it, that's when we all start heading off the cliff. If you're feeling this take, hit like, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Oh, about the Taylor Swift question, she can do no wrong in my book.